Hey there, everybody. Welcome back with the Purplatypus is the name, and welcome to another Octopath Traveler 2 video. Today, we are talking about Throne, queen waifu of the game, other than Hikari. Hikari is #1 waifu slash husbando, whatever you want to call him. But we're going to kind of go over, do a full breakdown of the character, what I think they're good at, how good I think they are in general, and yada yada blah blah. You guys know how it is. So first, we're going to take a look here. Also, if you want to chat sometime, I have a Discord. I feel like sometimes people are trying to reach out to me on YouTube, which is like fine in the comments, but I might miss it. There's, more comments than I'm used to, so I don't always see all the comments, but I try to go through and read them all. But if you want to reach out to me, just join the Discord. It should be in the description of all my videos, including this one. Thumbs up there. Now, let's get into it. Rona here. She is by default a thief, and her path actions are the ability to steal during the day, which is pretty awesome. Let's see if we can go up here, and you just steal. You go boom, boom, steal some items, just like that.
Thank you.
Basically, she allows you to get a bunch of items for free, but it is locked behind levels, so it's kind of a weird situation. Like, I like the path action in terms of coming back way later, and then just getting everything in a place for free. But also, this does let you, like, if you're willing to save scum, which, more power to you. I just don't find it fun. But if you, like, have a 3% chance, you save the game, you blow all of your chances, and then have to restart. Eventually, you can get these items way ahead of time. So it is a very powerful path action if you have the patience. I personally don't. I usually just use it after I'm way over leveled and come back to get the shit that I didn't want to roll a chance on getting. Ambush is a free way to knock someone out. Pretty good. It's like whatever. But now let's actually get to what makes her combat wise interesting here. Blessing of Darkness. Blessing of Darkness is maybe the best like talent. No, I mean Concoct is, right? But I mean this is a really good talent. You start the battle and you get like, it's like strength up, elemental up, speed up. It's always the exact same buffs every time. Let's take a look at actually what they are. Let's turn it to night. Let's run around in a circle, because I'm just forgetting because I haven't used her in a couple days here. Magic, strength, and speed, right? Like, so just absolutely insane. Just, I don't know, fireball him. Is that gonna kill him? Yeah. Level 1 zone, baby. Let's go. So very, very powerful. Also worth noting, if you make sure it's nighttime before you engage with bosses, you will get this buff at the start of a fight. And so then you could just go on and keep extending the duration of these buffs, if that's all you want. But it's still just like, it's good, and it gives you a very powerful intro. Now, there's one slight downside to this, and it's not a super downside. It's actually a bigger downside on Temenos. But if you do a step ahead, which I use pretty much all the time, then it kind of, you still get the first turn of it, but I don't know. It's probably less of an issue on Throne, but on Temenos, it's actually a downside because like they're blind and they have like a thing down. The blindness never matters because they don't have an action the first turn and that ticks down. So yeah, I guess Blessing of Darkness, because you're mostly using it to deal damage, doesn't really get negatively affected by that. So never mind. Latent Power, the ability to act twice in a single turn. Borderline the best. It's hard to say. So, like in the early and mid game, I think Hikari's is way better. I think Ochet's is probably better. But I think Hikari's especially is better. Like Hikari has the ability to do a really powerful attack and then act again at the end of the turn. And typically, at least in the early and mid game, that is more powerful than whatever she's doing with one of her turns. Especially because like with Hikari, even though he's locked into that specific skill, although I think this works with the cleric ability, you can take twice in a single turn, and then you can have the cleric have you act again at the end of the turn. So that is very powerful. You can get 3 potential turns in one turn with this. So that's incredibly powerful. But with like Hikari, you can do the act at the end of the turn, and when you do that, you could use your first action, and then someone can give you BP. So you can do 2 full 3 BP actions. Because you're acting back to back, you can never do 3 BP twice in a row. So you can start with the 3 BP and then use a 2 BP, Brave Point, whatever they're called, Break Point. Brave Points? I actually don't know what BP stands for. I don't remember. But you can then use 2 there. So it's an incredibly flexible, powerful, maybe one of the most powerful of all the 8 characters in the game. But I do think I don't think it's always good. Sometimes it's pretty lackluster when you just like, all right, I use this to use a armor down on the enemy and then I attack. Like, is that really that valuable? Sometimes no, but there's definitely ways to break it and be very, very powerful. So let's take a look at Throne's unique abilities here. You know what? We kind of got to go over the Thief, I guess, really quick. So you can see in my yesterday's video, Throne is kind of a, I think overall she's not that, I think Thief is not that strong of a class, but that's not to say Throne isn't that strong of a character. Throne is very strong as a character. But we kind of went over Thief, right? Steel's not that good. Darkness Knight, you almost never want to use it. HP Thief is fine because it breaks 2 shields, but it's not that powerful, but it's like, okay. Surprise Attack is like a pretty good attack. This is like, these 2 attacks are kind of the good stuff. Swift Step, raise your speed for 3 turns, terrible. You'll probably never use it. Armor Corrosive is pretty reasonable. There's not a whole lot of ways to do this in the game, so this is one of them. I like having this to support my other characters, but if you're using her as a damage dealer, you don't really want her to have to spend a turn Armor Corrosive, because then she only gets 1 turn of the benefit the following turn. Shackled Foe, it might keep you alive. I haven't had to use it. And then Aber's Reckoning is really the standout powerful ability for this. Like, it's not too hard. From what I understand, people can easily hit damage cap, like 99,000. I haven't had that happen easily yet, but even then, I think there are lower BP investments that hit the damage cap, and this doesn't come built in with like any other thing. It hits a lot, it hits everybody. So this is like the perfect thing if you're trying to kill all the ads, right? If you're trying to kill every ad, and like doing damage cap on a bunch of ads is going to be really good, and then you fight in a boss. So this is something it's like a really, really good ability, powerful ability, but I do think it's the only standout extra good ability on the Thief at all. And then we have her 2 EX skills here. Now this puts Throne in a weird spot. I think she might just be, it's possible she's the strongest character in the game, but I think she's not quite there, but it's close because of these abilities. The first one is just pretty good. I would say it's more than pretty good. I would say it's really good, but it's not like game-breakingly powerful. You do a little bit of dark damage to all foes. I'm sure you can get the damage pretty high if you have an elemental build going, but it does make them miss their next physical attack. You put this on an enemy, and like you attack an enemy, they get a debuff where the next time they do a physical attack, they miss. Now, if an enemy hits 14 times with an attack, they go like, ba, 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 ba. It's only one of the 14. But if they're doing a giant hit that hits everyone for like 3,000, then this will cause it to miss the whole team. So it's like an avoid tanking ability. Very good. It's only good against certain attacks though, but this definitely can trivialize some bosses if you know when to use it. But Disguise a single ally for 2 turns. Oh man, this is an interesting ability. You become it's kind of like Extreme Mimic. You become another ally. Whatever you have an ally on your team, whatever they are, you become a second Agnia, right? Now, I don't think you could use their latent powers. Let's go ahead and pull out the inventor here. Let's go ahead and equip. We're going to just do it here. Instead of, we don't need deal more damage right now because we are going to a level 1 zone. Let's go and do full power latent gauge, yeah. Okay. This is what we're going to do. We're going to do a little test here just to kind of... So, what's good about this ability is you get a second of your strongest character in your team. You could have 2 Arms Master Hikaris, but you don't get their stats. So you need to have your own stats equipped. I do think you get their equipment, but I don't know if you get their accessories, and I don't know if you get their base stats. So like when I had her do this thing, like it kind of like on Hikari, she was way weaker than Hikari. But also there's a lot of interesting things you could do. So if you have her built for physical, you could have her copy that, have basically 2 of one of the most powerful characters in the game. You can have her copy, you know, maybe Oswald or Temenos if you have a lot of magic stuff going on. Copy that. She could do whatever you want her to do. But also, there's this really unique thing here where, let's just say, let's do this coil here.
This should make it all better.
And so now the coil is on cooldown, right? The coil is on cooldown. But if we go to Thief and we disguise ourselves as an inventor, if we disguise ourselves as an inventor, let's just kill one of these guys, get him out of here. He's in my way. Now we're Agnia, the Throne inventor, and now look at this. You re-get the ability to use all of these. You don't have to redo them. So if you find yourself in a spot where you want to just critical scope and you don't want to repair it, you could have Throne become an inventor. You could have her do 2 turns, right? You could have her first become an inventor, and then do critical scope in the same turn if you really need critical scope that turn. Or you could ever, she doesn't have the Agnia benefit where she's not gonna be able to spread these abilities to all, so that is a downside. But then she can suddenly start filling everyone's latent power gauges if you just want her to do that. So this is like a weird little side synergy that feels incredibly powerful. But if you really need an inventor's invention, including this, just to revive one character, not the whole team, but she can ignore the cooldown, because when she disguises herself, she gets disguised as a character with all the abilities still usable. But we see here, they're all usable. But if we come here to the actual Agnia here, she has 7 turns left on the coil, right? So very just like, that was something, one of the very first things I wanted to check is like, did she copy the cooldown of that? And the answer is no. So very, very cool there. One of an incredibly overpowered and potentially game-breaking ability if you really find the right ways to do it. The inventor is like the best way I found to do it, but being able to double up on your strongest character, I think by default makes her potentially the strongest character in the game, because she has the ability to be the strongest character in the game, in addition to her other stuff. It does take a turn. It's only limited, so it's not perfect, but there is a no doubt a lot of power there. So let's kind of go through the classes here. Let's start with Warrior. Kind of go through why she would, why she wouldn't want to be it. So Warrior makes perfect sense. She's a very good physical damage dealer. The ability to, you know, it basically just gives her access to more weapons and a little bit of better stats. Nothing at like the aggressive slash is fine. Piercing thrust is fine. The Vengeful Blade is a pretty good ability overall. I really like the Vengeful Blade, but I don't know if, well, actually it is kind of cool. You could have incidental attack and then Vengeful Blade and then get an attack and then they hit you, then you get another attack. But I don't know. Warrior is like a good is a good class. I think Vengeful Blade and Brands is good, but I don't think Throne is like extra good as the Warrior. It's just like, okay, if you already have someone as an arms master, then you might as well have her go Warrior if you want to go physical. But nothing like is standing out to me as like, this is insane. It's mostly just access to an additional weapon, right? Because you get sword, spear, and then dagger. So you're doubling up on the sword, which is probably a reason to not go that. So I'm gonna go with the top 3. We're gonna go over all of them, and then we'll go over the ones that I consider kind of like the top 3. So Dancer, you don't want anyone as a dancer besides Agnia. Dancer is generally pretty bad in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, that's really all it is. I mean, it does give her access to all the physical debuffs and then the physical buffs for your team, but it's not really, you could be doing more powerful things than that. Merchant, I think she makes a wonderful merchant here. Just the ability to spend 2 turns to donate BP and then donate BP, or hired help and then hired help. Like these are all these, or, you know, just the ability to rest, to heal yourself and then do something else. Like these are all like pretty powerful things. I don't think she's like especially synergistic with it. But being able to donate BP twice is a net positive, right? For donating BP, you spend 0 BP to donate 1 or 1 BP to donate 2. You give 1 more BP to the team overall than what you are spending. So, you know, it's like X plus 1 BP. You spend 0, they get 1. So if you do this twice in a turn, you're giving away a lot of BP. But if you use your latent power to give a lot of BP to all the characters, then why aren't you just using Cassie to do the same thing, right? I feel like the Merchant is really good at this, but they're really good because they have the ability to do it. Like they can just kind of do it every turn whenever you want. They don't have to have a latent power gauge full or anything like that. And so Throne could do it, but I don't feel like she's extra good, I suppose. Scholar is always interesting. I don't think she has a reason to go Scholar. But you always can, you know, it does elemental damage. You guys know that. Nun, Thief. I don't recommend this. Thief is kind of low, but she's also, if you could double up on Thief, why would you do that? Apothecary. I do like getting access to axes. Like I'm playing with the Apothecary more now. I like Poison Axe. I like Sweeping Cleave. Weak to Poison is, unfortunately, I would be just very excited for it. It just never feels like the right time to use it. Decent, you know, stats for the character. It's a much more physical class. At least than what she's using now, probably less so than a Warrior. So I mean, I just like, if I was going to pick Apothecary, I'd probably pick Warrior, but this does give you more flexibility. You could actually revive someone, right? You could have a more physical build with the ability to revive someone if you wanted to go this route. But still not the best. Hunter, I think she makes a wonderful Hunter. You get access to 4 weapons. Hunter has, I think she might be like a standout good hunter. The ability, precise shot is good. Cleaving blow is good. And then she has, you know, the abating orb, the leg hold trap, the other, like, because the thief already has some debuffing potential, right? So she's already kind of has access to this kind of role. So kind of doubling up on that, having more like buffs and the ability to remove enemy buffs is kind of cool. But beyond that, then you also get access to 4 different weapon types, all of which have a pretty decent attack, right? So you could use the surprise attack is pretty powerful. Cleaving blow is very powerful. Precise shot is pretty powerful, and the HP steal is all good. So it's like this. She's a pretty good hunter. Like I'm definitely happy with her as a hunter. And then thrown a cat girl. Ha ha ha! Am I right, everybody? Woo! Conjurer. I don't think so, man. I don't think she makes an exceptionally good conjurer, but in a sense, I don't think she makes an exceptionally bad conjurer. It's kind of fine. It gives her access to 4 weapons still, but she doesn't really get any abilities. Oh no, sorry. Wait. Yeah. Wait, the conjurer could use bows and staves? I didn't even know they could use bows. But she doesn't get access to any bow attacks. You know, she can equip a bow, but you don't have access to any bow attacks. You can equip the staff, but you don't have access to any staff attacks. So it's not like it's not insanely good. But again, kind of with her, she has the ability to conjure flames and then do another action in the same turn. So like you could, if you have 5 BP, you could spend 2 BP doing a conjure flames on the party or whatever, the one you want. And then she could attack and get immediate benefit that turn. So I do think that she actually could make a pretty good conjurer. It really lowers the action economy of having to use a conjure thing. So I actually think this might be in one of her top 3 here. I think there's potential there. I didn't really think about it before starting this video, but I like her as a conjurer. I want to try that out. Plus having the, like, it's nice when you have a support character that's mostly focused on debuffing, dealing damage, or buffing the other teams, to suddenly just have an emergency Rite of the Sun panic button to revive everybody in case everything goes to shit. Arcanist, she has, like, so the only reason she would ever go Arcanist is because there's a really good Seal of Diffusion ability. And the only good Seal of Diffusion ability is what? Swift Step. So no, she would never go Arcanist. Pretty much ever. You don't want Malice, you don't want Blessing, unless you go, like, because there's just not a reason to go have Malice or Blessing build. Hex is not particularly powerful. I mean, it's like okay if you get a couple debuffs, but I don't think it's like insane. Yeah, like the you could just use her as an Arcanist, as a base level Arcanist, and be good, right? You could use her latent power and it's still good, but I don't think there's anything especially synergistic here worth going. Now, Arms Master, when we get into the special classes, it's always weird because Arms Master is fucking strong, man. You get these really powerful attacks, and if you just want her to kill shit, she makes a wonderful Arms Master. Better than Hikari? I don't know. I would say that she might even make a better Arms Master than Hikari. It's possible. I don't know how it works with Cosmic Roar, actually. I've never tried her doing Cosmic Roar with her latent power full, you know? So let's try that. Let's go ahead and get a Conqueror Sword, and we're just gonna experiment with it right now, because I think that kitty cat, get out of here. I love you and you're wonderful, but I'm not playing with you right now. He's a monster. He's a monster. Let's take a look here.
Out of my way.
Step ahead. Yep, that's us. So let's go ahead and defend. And now we're going to use a latent power. We're going to use Arms Master, Conqueror Sword.
This will hurt. This will hurt.
It's my turn now.
Oh my God. It doesn't interrupt it, and she's actually going twice at the end. Let's take a look.
Sword up at the knees. Sword up at the next. And so it goes.
I don't know. That feels right there. That is something that a lot of characters can't do, when maybe no characters can actually do in that same way. So I think she makes potentially the best, if not one of the best Arms Masters in the game. She's already physical. She has the ability to, we don't really care about her ability to debuff enemies' defense in this situation, right? You're just going to be attacking the fuck out of things. But being able to use 2 of these unique, really powerful abilities, especially Dancer's Blade, being able to use a dagger like to attack 6 times on a single target is pretty fucking huge. I think she makes a great arms master, definitely in her top 3. Inventor. The thing is, Inventor is for Agnia. Anyone could be an Inventor and be reasonable. We kind of talked about this earlier. Yes, she could do it. She could use the Coil and Hastening Hammer, and Tin Horn's probably, and Tin Horn and Critical Scope are probably the best too if you're not playing Agnia. But it's like you would never want her to be the one Inventor if you have Agnia on your team. If you don't, then there's some potential here. Then you're kind of more going down. She's the setup, right? She's lowering the enemy's defenses. She set up the critical scope. She's tin horning to make sure everyone's got all their latent power fulls. And then when they're broken, then she'll go in with like a fully charged hastening hammer into something else to try to hit the damage cap. But most of the other characters are going to be doing more of the damage at this point, which is like reasonable. I think she's a good inventor, but I just don't think that's what you want to do. But finally, the one that I skipped over is Cleric. Now, I've played her as Cleric in my entire playthrough, and it was something that didn't feel synergistic until I started playing it. It becomes less good later on, and I might switch her to the Arcanist, not the Arcanist. I might switch her to probably not the Arms Master because I like Hikari there, but I'll either switch to an Arms Master or a Conjurer later in the game. But it is so fucking nice to have just a double staff attack. Mystical Staff is a great ability. Then having the ability to do an AoE revive and an AoE heal on a character that's already just like doing decent stuff is good. So this is basically comes down to, I really like the Cleric, I think. But like the ability to revive all your allies and then heal them all in one turn with her latent power was very, very powerful for the early and mid game, and even into the late game, not post game, but into the late game. Being able to use your ability to revive everybody and then do a full BP heal all wounds back to back without having to worry about anybody's dying, because a lot of times like you revive, they're low. Can I get to a healer and heal them so they don't die in one hit? She doesn't have to worry about that. She can just heal everyone to full. And she never has any SP problems because she hits like a truck with the Mystical Staff. Very, very strong ability. I mean, you need to have the physical attack to back it up, but you get some pretty powerful stabs later, even some physical attack oriented staves. And the divine skill might be my favorite divine skill, but I think this might be an ability that I want to be used on her instead of her using it on others. I'm still not 100% sure yet, but like I really like the idea of someone using this on you, right? Using the yeah. I'll fix my teams later. A single ally, the ability to act again at the end of a turn for 3 turns. Only one additional action can be taken per turn. So this doesn't, I guess this is why. This doesn't synergize with her latent power. I thought maybe you could use this in her latent power to get 3 turns in a turn, but I guess it doesn't work like that. This probably turns off then. If you take a second turn, this probably already just turns off. So I don't think this is incredibly synergistic on her, but in a sense that makes her a sense to be a good reason to be a Cleric, because if she's the only character it's not good on, then she can cast this on other people instead of doing it on herself. But overall, I would say early, mid, and late game, Cleric is very powerful. So if we're gonna go top 4 here, all right, I think Cleric, early, mid, and late game, very powerful. I think if you're going more an offensive route than early, mid, late game, you want to go Hunter. I think Hunter is she's going to do wonderful as a Hunter, very powerful class. And then as you get into the late game, I think you're going to want to either go with a Conjurer or an Arms Master. Make room for one of them on your team, for sure, as if you have Throne. And basically, I'm just trying to think. Yeah, I like, these are all very powerful abilities. She's just such a fucking badass, powerful Arms Master. And I think Conjurer is like, she might be the one character that I actually really like as a Conjurer. Very, very heavy on the support thing, but you want to build her more elemental attack in this situation, but you get a staff. It's not that hard to do that. And then you get like double dagger attacks still in your base. You still have Aber's Reckoning. Overall, I kind of like this direction too, but that's going to be it for today. Oh, let's take a look. What characters is she good with? It's tough because all characters are good with other characters because all characters are great, but it kind of depends on the route you're going to go, right? If you want her to be your Arms Master, you might not want Hikari on the team, or you could have Hikari Arms Master, have her disguise herself to be a second Hikari Arms Master, right? Because she can become a copy of any character. Any character that you might want more than one of, you should bring Throne to that fight because she could be any character. The stats don't always like the damage and stats aren't the same. So I got to kind of, I don't know exactly what they're copying and what they aren't copying. That's worth noting, but you don't get their latent powers, right? So you don't want to, you probably don't want to copy. I know I copied Agnia as the inventor, but like in general, if you don't have Agnia as an inventor, you're not getting her latent powers. So you're going to have a way watered down version of that. Even though it's good to copy inventor. So it's kind of like a caveat there. Like she's just kind of good with everybody, man. She's just like always a decent character to have around. Like maybe she's not inherently synergistic with like Oswald unless you go down like a super conjurer route. I mean, she could use both of her magic in one turn. You know, she could use their latent power to do a fireball into fireball or something. But yeah, I don't really think that's like what she best synergizes with. I think you really want her with characters that you're going to want a second copy of. And I wonder, do you copy the buffs that are on a character? I don't think you copy their buffs. I think their stat buffs stay on them. But we're going to try it out. This will be the final thing that we experiment with in the video.
Let the experiment begin.
Let the experiment begin. He's absolutely right. So you are going to use your latent power. You're going to give everyone a little bit of BP. Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
A pinch of this.
That's a hope.
Time to shine.
You're going to defend.
Cleaning time.
You're going to defend. You are going to give yourself
Mission's complete.
the wisdom.
Impart your wisdom.
If she copies you, I want to know if she gets the wisdom.
Playtime's over.
2 turns is fine for our experiment.
Ta-da.
Now then.
You do not get the buffs. Okay.
Oh my. I did it.
So the buffs stay. That's just something that hadn't occurred to me. So yeah, it's a little less good. If it took the buff, that would make her insanely good with just anybody. But for the most part, it's like, oh, I just need an additional skill. Like you could have her copy a apothecary or a cleric if she's not a cleric, and then revive everybody, right? So she kind of could do it as whatever you want at all times. One of the better characters in the game, potentially the best character in the game, I think. Actually, I think Disguise opens up a lot of broken builds that I'm still discovering myself. It's such a big, wide open ability, and it can be used in so many different ways that I don't have the perfect answer for how to use it yet. That's going to be kind of up to us, you guys. I'm not going to really do the item section of these anymore, I think, because they're just going to be kind of like, hey, use the high damage stuff right now. I don't have anything special to say about the items because I don't have any really like insane post-game items that say to me, hey, use this on Throne. So there's nothing, you know, if you're using elemental build, you know what to do. If you're going with a physical build, you know what to do. Use physical stuff or elemental stuff. But either way, that's going to be it for today, guys. Thank you so much. Purplatypus is Purplatypus. I will see you tomorrow with another video. Again, if you feel like hanging out, check out the Discord. If you don't feel like hanging out, don't check out the Discord. Easy as that. Have a good one.